One is that manufacturing still matters for EU economies here, but how it contributes to the EU economy is changing here. It only represents 15% of value added in EU economies here, only represents 14% of employment in 2012 here. But with this small share, it nevertheless takes into account, is accounted for 60% of the productivity growth in EU economies here, represents 65% of business R&D. So what you see in almost all countries and in almost all sectors is indeed continuing loss of manufacturing jobs here, is due to decline in demand for manufactured goods relative to services. It's due to labor-saving productivity improvements, technological changes, and also changing geography with, for Europe, clearly also trade effects here. In order for manufacturing to contribute to productivity growth and external competitiveness, it's shifting towards much more higher value-added activities here. And these higher value-added activities typically involve much more innovative capacity here, high skills as well, and also these type of activities are much more service-like type of activities here. And that's also related to moving away from the classic old sectoral thinking here, so that you have a chemical company or a textile company, or because increasingly these activities are much more blurred here, where chemical firms actually are also working in products which are in textiles as well, and so the networks become much more dense.
The key challenge we are facing today, obviously, is the state of the European economy. I mean, demand is growing very, very slowly, and we have to adjust to the situation of very slow, almost no growth. Then I think for some sectors, the price of energy in Europe is a big challenge.
We need an internal market for energy. Today, in Europe, the price of energy is a disaster for our competitors. Look at China, look at Japan, look at the United States of America.
And if I might look at other type of challenges, probably the fact that the European single market is integrating very slowly.
The single market is a single most important asset in Europe for our competitiveness, and still underdeveloped. Not 10 years after our report, 30 years after it was launched.
There's the issue of trust. That is that as long as there's no clear direction and clear visibility as to where we're going in Europe, do not expect to see major possibilities of investing here. And that is more a political problem to be solved, but a difficult one.
And maybe one last challenge, regulations. We see regulations, and we probably need regulation, but we need smart regulation, we need predictable regulations, we need regulations which are developed across Europe without variation countries by countries.
If we think of 3D printing, if we think of new materials, graphene, so also in these areas we have strong scientific and technological advantages that we can also exploit here. But these technological opportunities, whether they will actually be translated into viable and sustainable manufacturing activities here, will to a large extent also depend on whether other framework conditions will be in place here. It will not be an easy game to reverse the decline here, but I want to be optimistic in the sense that Europe does have opportunities here, and individual firms and people can make a difference here. So I think we should all be optimistic.